This is a photography stand or for a backdrop. It basically lets you put a 10-foot wide by 7-foot tall backdrop behind something. So I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase one, it would cost you about $46. So in the box, we have the branded carrying pack. We get, it looks like 8 of these clips, which are useful for clipping something to the top rail. We also get several of these elastic ties, and these are typically used to grab the sides of your backdrop and then kind of make it taut to the side poles. And so we have 2 bags here, and each bag has 4 of these. We also have these 2 guys. If I had to guess, I would say they're probably some type of a weighting sandbag. So yeah, that looks like something that you could fill up with weights or sand and then use that to hold your stands down. All right, so the main case here has these 2 pieces of Velcro, and then it folds out into these 3 separate sections. And on the 2 end sections, we have these stands. And in the center section, we have the pole sections for the top pole. So this is advertised as an aluminum alloy, and it feels lightweight like aluminum. Now that really connected to that right there. So I don't know, that's not feeling like aluminum to the magnet. That is, holding that thing up there. Now right here, it looks like it's an aluminum alloy for the connecting pins between the 2 the end pieces, but that looks like a steel tube. Yeah, so each of these tubes is steel, so it's not aluminum alloy, it's steel, and they have aluminum parts. Let's take a look at these stands here. Yeah, so these stands are also steel tubing, which is a little disappointing because if you're looking for aluminum for the corrosion resistance, steel is not going to give you the results you'd like. Okay, so we are now evaluating it as if this is a steel backdrop stand, because it basically is steel construction with a few aluminum parts. So we have pretty typical kind of light stand style stands here with poles that extend up. All right, so it says 7 feet tall and 10 feet wide. So the top of that is at 7 feet, but if you look down here, you really have to pull those legs all the way in to reach that 7 feet, and that's just not safe. That's just not stable enough there. So in my opinion, that's about the tallest you'd want to set these things up for stability, and that gives you about 6 feet 5 inches to the top there. Each of these guys have a thumb screw and a washer that you just take off, put the pole on top, and then tighten this down. So there's 4 poles here that make up the top crossbar. 2 of them have these larger holes for putting on the posts. And so the minimum size of the top crossbar is 2 poles across. So your minimum width here is 59 inches, just about 5 feet. It's about 1 inch less than 5 feet. Now to get it back out, you have to push these guys in, and that action is relatively simple to push these spring clips in, pop it in, pop it in. So putting these poles together apart is not easy. So tip of this pole to the tip of that end over there is 118 inches, and that's 2 inches short of 10 feet. And then if you include the extra 1.5 inches on each side of wasted space here, this is not 10 feet. It won't hold a 10-foot backdrop. It'll hold, a 9.5-foot backdrop. So I can make the top bar slightly taller by narrowing up those feet, but I really wouldn't want to. Those feet are about as narrow as I'd feel comfortable with. So with the feet at a safe spread, this thing is a little higher than 6 feet, maybe 6'3" or so. Also at the full extension here, there is just the weight of the pole is dropping it down a couple of inches. And so, if I push on it just a little bit, it's going to drop down more. So you put a backdrop on this, and it's definitely going to sag a little bit. Alright, so these clamps would definitely work if you had a backdrop folded over the top of this. You know, that clamp would definitely hold it on, but you would have that clamp hanging down in front of your backdrop by an inch or two. And I feel like 8 is a good number for this to hold a backdrop on the top. These little elastics just have a Velcro that goes around the pipe, and then this guy here you can pinch and pull. So that guy there would, you know, you can adjust the length of this pretty easily. And it has just a little clip to the side of the backdrop. So at this price point, I guess it's acceptable. It has everything you would need to hold a backdrop up. I think it'd work better for, you know, taking pictures of middle schoolers than adults, because that backdrop is never going to be really at a full 7 feet unless you're willing to have this thing just fall over all the time. Alright, the top tube weighs in at 1 pound, 8.6 ounces. That's 697 grams. So these expanding sections are basically just plastic clamps that you lift up, and then you tighten this little thing in and it clamps it in place. And the action for the legs is basically you unclamp it and then you can pull these guys up and fold in. Each of the support legs is 1 pound, 4.5 ounces, or 580 grams. So I like how they have separate compartments in this little carry bag for each of the stands and the center pole, but they're missing compartments for all of the accessories. You know, these guys are just kind of thrown in the bottom of the box. And I know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to throw them in here and kind of wrap this stuff around them, maybe. I'm not even sure if it'll fit with these poles in there, so let's do that. Sort of holds together. From a build quality standpoint, I think that the best part of this kit are these empty sandbags. You know, they have compartments here. You can put a plastic bag full of sand in and then hook them over your legs to kind of hold things down. They're nice and tough material, you know, and so those are perfectly acceptable sandbags. This case isn't bad, except that it doesn't really have a place to put all of the little accessories that come with it. The steel support stands and top pole, I was not impressed with. I mean, I realize it's a low price point, so I guess there's a place for this if you need an inexpensive way to put up a backdrop that only needs to be 6.5 feet tall and maybe sags in the middle a little bit. You know, so there's a place for this product, but I was overall not at all impressed with it. And the fact that it had aluminum alloy in the title when it's clearly just steel poles, that really soured me on it.